Am I the asshole for making my brother cry? I know it sounds bad, but I'm not really sure how to feel about it. For backstory, I'm 17 and my brother, I'll call him Ethan, not his real name, is 10. Ever since COVID hit, he's been super annoying and always wanting to spend time with me. I can understand this to a certain degree, as not being able to see his friends as much has made him turn to me more for friendship. But we don't like any of the same things, so it's really hard to relate to him or want to spend time with him. I'm into reading philosophy and listening to classic rock. Ethan likes to play Fortnite and is obsessed with TikTok and rappers like Travis Scott. Anyways, my mom has noticed that he's been trying to spend more time with me, so every Sunday she makes me take him to get lunch or ice cream at one of the neighborhood restaurants. I kind of think it's a waste of time because it's not going to lead to a friendship or anything because we're so different. But sometimes we've had a laugh or two on these Sunday lunches. Anyways, back to the story. Yesterday, we were eating lunch at the diner, and my biggest crush in school walks in and sees us. Immediately, I was already embarrassed to be seen with him, but I tried to keep my cool. My crush comes over and asks if she could sit down, and I say yes. She chats a bit with me and then tries to get to know my little brother. She asks what he likes to do, and he tells her, I really like playing Fortnite and watching Marvel movies. At this point, I am rolling my eyes because I doubt my crush even knows what any of that stuff is. She says, "Oh, that's so cool," or something like that, but I could tell she's forcing it. I tried to change the subject, but she keeps going back to Ethan for some reason. Eventually, she starts asking about his friends, and he says, "Well, my best friend in the whole world is my brother," and looks over at me, and I just wanted to sink into my seat. I don't know what came over me, but I said angrily, "Ethan, we are not friends. I'm only hanging out with you because I have to." Of course, he starts to cry. He embarrassed both of us. My crush wasn't really saying anything, so I made something up about needing to bring him home, and I walked back home with him. He told my mom what happened, and my mom grounded me. I'm literally 17, and she is still grounding me. And she said she was disappointed in me for not being nicer to my brother. So I do feel guilty about making him cry, but I do think he should grow up a bit and rely on his own friends rather than clinging to me and trying to embarrass me in front of someone I like. Am I the asshole? Update, am I the asshole for making my brother cry? I'm not even sure where to begin. I spent hours yesterday reading basically every comment on my original post, and with each one I read, my confidence that I was in the right kept getting lower and lower until eventually I couldn't even read my original post without it sounding like someone else wrote it. Someone who definitely sounded like an asshole. I couldn't believe it was me. I was still thinking about the whole situation and left my room to go get some water. And as I was passing by my brother's room, I heard some sniffling and my mom's voice. I decided to eavesdrop through the door a bit. I know this was probably an invasion of privacy. And I heard my mom tell Ethan something like, "No, he doesn't hate you. He is probably just stressed with other things in his life, and he took it out on you. That wasn't fair of him, but just remember that he's your brother and he does love you." I immediately ran back to my room and broke down crying. All of the comments replayed in my head about my brother thinking I was his hero and how I broke his heart. I couldn't believe how I acted, not just with the situation on Sunday, but I've never been the best big brother to him, and he's never really done anything wrong to deserve that. Everything just suddenly became so clear to me. I realized I have unresolved issues and that my brother has been a victim of that this whole time. I don't want Ethan to grow up with a big brother who is a prick to him. He deserves a lot better than that, and I hate myself for taking so long to realize that and hurting him along the way. Collected myself and went into Ethan's room. My mom had left his room at this point, and I gave him a huge hug and apologized like I never have before. I told him I loved him and that he did not deserve how I always dismiss him and say these horrible things. And I told him I didn't mean what I said at the diner and that he was my best friend in the whole world too. Because when I really think about it, I don't really have friends that I would consider my best friend. So maybe that has been making me resent the fact that my 10-year-old brother that I don't have much in common with is the only person I spend enough time with to consider my best friend. But I shouldn't feel that way. I'm lucky to have someone who even likes me and thinks I'm cool. I promised Ethan that I would make it right and that going forward, things were going to be a lot better between us. And that I was really looking forward to our next Sunday lunch. He was totally cool about everything and just looked so happy to hear me say all this. This whole time, he was just waiting for me to show him some kind of love, and seeing how happy it made him when I finally did just broke my heart because I kept that away from him for so long. Today, after school, I plan on going to Target and spending some of the money I made at my summer job to get him a $100 Fortnite gift card, a superhero shirt, and a couple of his favorite snacks. I just feel so terrible about everything, and I know I can't just buy his trust again, but I figure it will be a step in the right direction. Then I'm going to come home and ask him if we can go watch his favorite Marvel movie. My hope is that I can make things better as soon as possible so that my stupid comment doesn't stick with him too much. Plain and simple, I was acting immature and cruel and stupid. I am the asshole. I was thinking about deleting my original post and just trying to put it behind me, but I think I'll leave it up and look back on it once in a while to remind myself to never treat Ethan like that again. Thanks for all your comments, even the mean ones. I needed the wake-up call. Am I the asshole for backing out of attending my son's wedding because his brother isn't invited? I have two sons, Isaiah, 22, and Daniel, 24. They had a great childhood together for typical siblings and disagreements, but nothing out of the ordinary. They grew up in a big family with loving grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins on both sides. However, as they entered their teenage years, they started resenting each other for outside reasons because there were no issues at home. Daniel was seeing a young lady when he was 20. It was his high school sweetheart, even after school, that he planned to get engaged to, but it never happened because Isaiah lied to her about Daniel stealing from her parents, and she and her parents believed him. It turned out Isaiah was the one who stole the jewelry from Daniel's ex-girlfriend's parents' house and pinned it to Daniel. As a result, Her parents filed a police report, and Daniel suffered from the lie Isaiah told to get back at him for selling his bike that originally belonged to Daniel. They were both legally adults when this happened, and we were told to stay out of their conflict, but we couldn't help but get caught up in the middle. Eventually, the boys stopped seeing or talking to each other. Daniel lives in a rental apartment while Isaiah is still in college. Both boys are in contact with me and the family. Daniel is getting married this month. He sent me, his dad, and everyone else in the family an invitation except for Isaiah. I called Daniel to ask since I assumed he probably didn't send Isaiah an invitation but expected him to accompany me and my husband. He told me no, he intended to not invite his brother because he doesn't want him at his wedding. I felt heavy because Isaiah already apologized and sought forgiveness and gave Daniel time and space to reconcile, but Daniel kept ignoring him, saying he wanted nothing to do with him. I explained how I felt that he was being too harsh on his brother, and he told me not to pressure him about it and to respect his decision. I didn't pressure him, but I informed him that since Isaiah isn't invited, then I'm not coming to the wedding. Daniel threw a fit about how I was trying to corner him into having Isaiah, but I replied that I wasn't trying to pressure him or trying to change his mind. I was just letting him know. He lashed out, calling me unbelievable for making his wedding about Isaiah and not respecting his wishes. He added that I was selfish for putting Isaiah's feelings over his and on his wedding, no less. We argued, then he hung up after telling me if I don't attend, then he will never speak to me again. We haven't talked since then, and my husband agrees that Daniel is the one complicating things and not being graceful towards his brother who wants to share his happy day with him. So, am I the asshole for backing out of attending my son's wedding because his brother isn't invited? Am I the asshole for telling my husband he isn't as good of a dad as he thinks he is? My husband and I were separated during my pregnancy. He ended up getting custody of our 2-year-old son because I was unwell. I had postpartum psychosis. I moved back to my home country, got treatment, and have been saving as much money as possible so I could try to get my son back and divorce my husband. My sister-in-law kept in touch with me through the years and would send me pictures and videos of my son. She convinced her brother, my husband, to contact me and helped us come to an agreement that I could slowly be reintroduced to our son's life. He has put a lot of conditions on this. I can't be alone with him. I only get a set time limit with him each day. I cannot take him outside. I have to live here, etc. I've been following every single rule, but yesterday I finally had enough. My son wanted to keep playing after our time was over, and his nanny came to take him away. He was crying badly, and I tried to suggest they just leave him with me. The nanny was going to let him stay, but my husband told her to take him outside. After they left, I told him he wasn't as good of a dad as he thinks he is, and that he was punishing our son to hurt me. I've never seen him so angry, and he told me I was one to talk. Since, he's been giving me this cold shoulder. So, am I the asshole for telling my husband he isn't as good of a dad as he thinks he is?